And I just wanted to take an opportunity to thank each of you for joining us tonight for our free Lead Like a Lady webinar series hosted by WeTech Rocks. WeTech Rocks is a consortium of like-minded women who united to really change the landscape for women, accelerating women in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. During our 4-week webinar series, we'll be discussing and have been discussing compelling topics that are applicable to every woman, right? So regardless if you're in STEM, regardless of your role in the organization, what function you may be in, and or whatever industry you're serving in currently. And that topic is around leadership. I would advocate time and time again that leadership itself is a game changer for you. It's a game changer for me in my day-to-day. So definitely consider it a game changer. If you missed us for the past couple of weeks, let me bring you up to speed quickly. As you guys know, we are on a time limit, right? Time limit. Dr. Goodson's gonna get me for a time limit, of course. Okay, so week 1, we featured former naval officer Kat Ripley, and she actually led us in our discussion topic of leading from any chair. Kat's 3 points to be successful to lead from any chair are around 1, being flexible, 2, maximizing your strengths, and then 3, bringing your authentic self into your leadership role. Lead like a lady. Don't try to lead like a man. Lead like a lady. Be yourself. It's beyond powerful to just be you. Everyone brings something to the table. Last week, we actually featured Cheryl Sullivan, who is a SHRM Senior Professional Human Resources Director. She's certified by SHRM, and she actually talked to us about behavior shaping, right? And why your performance and my performance counts. The underlying theme there was emotional intelligence. Cheryl shared with us several techniques to improve our emotional intelligence, right? So the first thing was around improving your nonverbal skills from a communication standpoint. The second was using humor and play to address challenging issues and or concerns. And then the third was around resolving conflict positively and in a relationship building way. My gosh, if you missed it, you missed a treat. I'm telling you, you missed a treat. We do have a recording, so don't hesitate to go out and take a moment to look at the recordings, but it was really phenomenal, which I am super then excited about our guest speaker tonight, right? And our topic. Dr. Goodson's going to introduce our guest speaker in just a second, but before she does that, let me share a couple of things with you, right? So 1, as we go through the session, in the event you have questions, please don't hesitate to email us at wetechrocks@gmail.com, and our technical staff will help us then get those questions answered. And again, that's wetechrocks@gmail.com. Okay, I think I did that right. Okay, so our topic for tonight is around strategic planning and goal setting, right? So I'm hoping you guys are connecting the dots as we go through from a leadership perspective, from leading from any chair to behavior shaping, emotional intelligence, and then now tonight, goal setting and strategic planning and how they all connect, right, going forward. So just a very high level then, if we looked at strategic planning, it's really around having a vision, mission, and strategy. And I would recommend, regardless from a personal perspective or a professional perspective, you really need all 3, right? So vision is really about what is it that I want to be when I grow up? What is it that I want to ultimately achieve? And the mission then is more about what's my purpose? You know, what's my purpose regardless of if it's in the organization or personally, what's my purpose? And how can I use my mission then to get me to my vision? And then the last piece is around the strategy. So what's my plan? What are those big levers that I'll be able to pull to help navigate regardless of the environment, right? Or the landscape to help me navigate to be successful. So super excited about having Dr. Riley share with us her thoughts, but let me turn it over now to Dr. Goodson for that introduction. Thank you so much for joining. Dr. Goodson.
Thank you so very much, Odetta. Excellent job. I really like the way you framed and shaped strategic planning, making sure that you have a vision that you can see far out, something that you want to achieve and something attainable, your mission and your values. And what we want to do is just weave a story together, taking that information that you gave us, looking at the strategy, and then how do you incorporate day-to-day steps, 1 year, 3 years out, to identify how you will shape into and what that roadmap is leading to your strategy. You know, looking at GPS technology, the GPS is a strategist for you. You go from point A to a destination where you can see it clearly, and then what it does is it maps you back to where you are, and the mile markers that you will achieve or you'll go through are your goals. But first, what I want to do is introduce our special speaker, Dr. Janice Riley. She is a PhD biochemist. Did you hear me, ladies? PhD biochemist. Somebody needs to raise the roof. She has done studies of vaccines against globally prevalent HIV variants. She's also done work in New Jersey. She's done work in Tucson, Arizona, and her specialty is HIV infections, in fact. And then also she may be able to talk a little bit to us before we get off about the COVID-19. She also worked at Abbott Labs for a while on a cross-functional team on a myriad of things, doing diagnostics and arrays. She'll tell us what that is. You know, she's got like all this big highfalutin things that she's done. Her research has led to a lot of products to help with gene rearrangement, prostate cancer, and then also molecular product structures and biotechnologies, where she uses her background to help with varieties of diseases. She has co-authored and published several works and periodicals for articles. She lives in Seattle now with her family. Just a beautiful woman, and she has a lot to say. What I want to do is frame and codify for us goals. Goals are basically the conditioning or the preconditioning of your mind to achieve a thing. So I want us to get outside of ourselves and think about a goal is a prescription or preconditioning of the mind to achieve a certain thing. And what it does is it moves your mind and it causes you to focus and to go to a certain direction. And it tells your mind how it should be disposed, its predisposition, how it should determine what it should do and how it should move next. And it's basically you designing your life step by step. Now I understand why they need to be SMART. They should be specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and timely, right? Because you are preconditioning your mind to achieve something. And so looking at goals, that is your design of your mind to get your mind mapped to the mile markers to get to your vision. But without further delay, what I'd like to do is introduce to you again Dr. Janice Riley, a friend of mine, and we have known each other for years. This woman is full of integrity. She's bubbling over with enthusiasm. She loves to share. So I'd like to turn the mic over to you, Dr. Janice Riley. Talk to us about goals today. We're really looking to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Goodson. I won't say Amanda, but we have known each other for so long, and I really appreciate this opportunity to share with you the ways I go about setting goals. Because, for example, I am just getting back into the work environment, so I'll share from that perspective in terms of just my professional goals. I just started a job 6 months ago here in Seattle. It's a small biotech company I took some time off for family reasons. I was hanging out with my daughter, and now I'm back on track where I'm actually contributing to what I've been doing for the last 20 years or so in terms of just developing assays for cancer, for HIV work I've done over the years. And now we're touching on the immune system. And if at the end, I'll just discuss some of the stuff our companies, about 400 people, are doing to impact the COVID pandemic that we're all facing here. So our company is actually doing work. They are actually getting samples from COVID patients that recovered. So I could talk about that. And there's hope. So there's stuff going on. So as Amanda said, just your precondition my mind on what I need to achieve. What I do is, again, I use the SMART. So it has to be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So here am I in this new company, and I'm gonna guess there's another Kenyan that looks like me. So you guys figure it out. So I have to really, really focus on setting my goals and making sure they're achievable. So what I do first is, again, during my time off, I got into where I want to make sure it's also spiritual. So I got in more connection with just making sure that it aligned with the will of what God has for me. And so far, He has given me the talent where I like science, and how can I also be placed in this environment where I could also do His work and make sure I'm not just there for a paycheck, but I'm also there to show what it's like to be in an environment and see somebody of my complexion working smartly and achieving the goal of the company. So again, set goals. So my top three, to set my goals. So my mind is focused on what I need to accomplish. Number two is to write it down, because sometimes we just kind of said, for example, dieting, right? Let's not pick too much on it, but we said, okay, beginning of the year, we want to lose, we're going to give up sugar. Let's do something easy. And then the birthday party come and we all fall off the wagon. Or now we're quarantined. And I saw something where people, instead of eating avocado toast, are now eating ice cream for, for stuff. So we have to be careful. So I like to write my goals down. And then how will I achieve them? Because it has to be achievable. You can't just say that I'm going to try to find a cure for a disease that we're not even working on at the company. So how could I, once the company have their corporate goals, and it comes down to me, how can I help the company to achieve those goals? So that's what I do. I write them down, what's achievable. I also like to put in stretch goal in that, because I want to make sure they see that I'm valuable, maybe thinking outside the box. So I like to have something that maybe I'll get to, maybe I'll not. And then what I like to do next is to create an action. How will I able to achieve those goals? So creating an action for how to achieve each one of those goals, set up, maybe I use, there's this smart sheets. So I try to put in like timelines, make my own timelines. So I use smart sheets to develop something for myself. Even though the company has one, I like to put myself on a schedule so I know what I'm doing. And then, you could write the goals down, create an action, then you have to take action. So what do I do to take those actions? So what am I going to do? What do I need to every day, what am I going to do in order to get to that step? And sometimes, like, for example, today, based on what's going on in the world, I found out, even though I have these goals set, we have to go back and reevaluate these goals. So those are the top 3 or 4 things that I do in order to set my goals. Maybe I went a little fast because I know it's time and I wanted to have time for a question. So those are the type of things that I've done. So, you set your goals, write them down, take action, and then also reevaluate as time goes on. And that's how I use tools in my profession to set my goals.
I really love what you said. Think about it, you write it down, you create an action for it. And then I like what you said, you have smart sheets that basically has the goal down. And then you have a stretch goal as well. And then another thing that I have heard, and I've heard you do this and others do that, they repeat them every day. You go and you visit them regularly. You don't just write it down and get an action sheet and just put it in the drawer. You basically put it up and you do it every day. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so what I do is I have, for example, I have a smart sheet, and turn out it actually the company's here in Seattle, and my boss actually introduced me to the smart sheet when I got here. And so I've used that in it's on my computer. So I have ways where, because at my level, even though I'm reporting to someone, I'm also pseudo independent. So I just have to give her maybe weekly updates of what I'm doing. So I use that to guide me and to set up timelines and what I need to accomplish, who I need to talk to, the key stakeholders in it, so I have their information, and just follow up an email. So basically I'm managing myself also.
That is so good. It would be nice to have the topics on your smart sheet. You know, it makes me think about a book called Blue Ocean Strategy. You can look it up online, and it talks about creating an uncontested market space. So in your goal, what you do sounds to me, even with your stretch goal, you create a platform and you create an offering that other people are not giving. And then you make competition irrelevant, because your strategy is to do well, not that you want to compete with anyone, but you make them irrelevant because you create a demand that adds value to your company.
Exactly.
And it's alignment with the goals. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
That's good.
So that's what I'm doing, and so far so good. And we're adjusting to new life with COVID-19. So working from home, and I'm getting used to that. So just trying to align and also be flexible and understand that, for example, today was like, okay, guys, we're going to switch directions. And so I'm waiting for my marching orders again.
That's good. So what we want to do is we want to open it up for questions. If people on the line, if you want to put a question in the chat, or what you can do is email WeTechRocks, WeTechRocks@gmail.com. Then we're happy to hear from you if you have any questions. Let me turn it over to Dr. Rice. We haven't heard from you today. Do you have a question that you'd like to ask Dr. Riley? Janice, Yvette, and Janice?
Yeah. Hi, Dr. Riley. I wanted to ask you to elaborate a little bit more when you talk about your stretch goals.
What I try to do is sometimes when they set their company goals, right, and they have their department goals, there's certain things in here that your supervisor might say, okay, these are what I want you to accomplish. And maybe during the discussion, depending on once you set out your actions and you see whether or not, and sometimes there's stuff in there that is maybe, if we get to it, then it's okay. There are certain things. And what I like to do is I like to see, as I progress in what I needed to do, I could always take on something else. So I keep my mind open, where I would be needed. And then what I'll do, I said, okay, I want to tackle this. Because sometimes something always come up in the middle of it. And that's when your supervisor might scramble. So I like to be aware of those stretch goals and then also adapt them into my plan.
Okay. I have a question from Tucson, Arizona. We have people on the line from Tucson. They want to know if something changes, like you say that your boss is going in a different direction, then do you rewrite your goal or do you just amend your goal? How do you handle that?
I mean, depending on what it is, I have to maybe reevaluate and take action. So basically, for example, because of, unfortunately, what's going on, I'm going to reflect to it because it's definitely impacting some of the projects that we need because we need to get samples. Or for example, a couple of months ago, COVID-19 wasn't a project that we wanted to focus on. Now our company is shifting, so we have to shift towards that. So yes, you have to rewrite goals. You have to figure out what's going on and then see how you can achieve those. Because in the end, you have to achieve the company's goal. You have to be flexible.
Thank you.
Dr. Riley?
Yes.
A question for you coming in from actually the Texas area. How do you, or what technique or approach do you use in the event when you don't particularly meet a goal and you're having that performance conversation with your manager?
hopefully it's not something that's going to come off as a surprise, because what you do nowadays, you have these daily check, or depending on your mentor or your supervisor, you have daily check-in or weekly check-in where they're aware of where you are in your goals, right? So sometimes you just make sure they're also aware if the focus changed, that, okay, do you want me to focus on this? And even during that time when you're checking in, you could just go down the list and say, what do you think? This is what I'm focusing on now. This is what I'm doing next. And then you could see at the end. And so they're aware of it. So it doesn't come as a surprise at the end of, December or January when you do your performance reviews. So just keep it aware, make sure the supervisor is aware of where that is on the list, and then check in and see whether or not they want it done also before the end of it.
Thank you.
That sounds pretty good, Odette. It sounds to me that that a person should develop a good relationship with their boss, have critical conversations and fierce conversations along the way. That's what I hear you saying, yes. And keep your boss in the loop. You don't want a surprise from them, and they certainly don't want a surprise from you. That is awesome. Yeah. Thank you so very much, Janice Riley. I'm going to turn it back over to Odetta, and I think we're going to come back to you for a final statement of hope.
Okay.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. So again, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write your questions in the chat, or you can send us an email at WeTechRocks@gmail.com, and that is WeTechRocks@gmail.com. And also, if you had some specific questions that you wanted to ask Dr. Riley, she has been so gracious to share her email with the participants on the call as well. And Dr. Riley's email is drjp_Riley@yahoo.com. And that is again, drjp_RILEY@yahoo.com. Okay, and so we have about 6 minutes left. I do want to be respectful of everyone's time. Dr. Riley, can you share with us, give us a quick snippet of the information you said you may be able to share with us as we reach towards the end of time, which is right, like what's going on with your company as far as COVID, the hope that you see. Can you just share that with us, please?
Yeah, so as, again, not to get too much, but I have to give a little science background. So during for example, if you get infected with COVID-19, the virus, your immune system will try to fight the virus. So what happened is that there's some people who, once you get through that, you'll still have antibodies or your cells that try to fight off the virus. So our company here, what they do is we look at the immune system. So because we are one of the only company in the world that have the technology where we're working with Microsoft, and we can now get somebody's blood that recovered from the COVID infection, and we can see how their immune system reacts or how it fights off the virus. So based on the information that we can collect from that, now we can use that to develop a vaccine. We can also use that to develop a medicine based on your immune system, because basically what the virus is doing is that it's attaching to your cells. So if we know where it's attaching, how it's attaching, now the companies that does the work, for example, of developing something that could block it. So we could give them the information and said, okay, this is where it's attaching. Now other companies can develop a prophylactic, a medicine that could block that interaction. So this information is going to be public. So we're going to our company is going to share that information so anybody can have it and work on drug development. And about 2 weeks ago, we formed a partnership with a company here. I think it's Eli Lilly. And I think it's is it Eli Lilly? I think it's Eli Lilly. I can't remember right now, but I'm so embarrassed, but I'll figure it out because I'm thinking and I'm trying to get information out. But it's all over the news. So basically what they're going to do is, again, we're going to provide the sequences, and they are going to try to develop a vaccine for COVID-19. So that's how our company, so we are already getting samples here. We're already doing our stuff. We're looking at the immune system response to COVID-19, and that information is going to be used to develop a vaccine. So our company here is going to be doing that.
So did you hear this? We had go ahead, Yvette.
I was saying that's amazing that we have someone tonight sharing with us, a woman of science, and how vital the role is that she's playing in what's happening right now. So that's
exactly.
We're praying for you, and we wish you all the best in your scientific work.
Thank you. We're going to need it. Yes, definitely. But we're definitely working. That's what the company is doing. So, so I'm adhering to staying at home because it's a small company. And if I don't have to be there, I don't have to be there. There are people working daily in the lab, and we don't want to get them sick. So hopefully we'll have some good news. But I'll definitely correct. I have to go back and check it out. I don't know why I think Lily, but we'll check it out.
We'll make sure we get the word out to everyone.
Yeah, I'll share that information too.
Okay. And so we have Dr. Riley's information. If you'd like it, I think we've already given it to you on the line. Also, what she said about goal setting is to make sure you're clear what you want and where you're supposed to go. Write it down, create an action plan. She even does it on smart sheets, and she looks at it every day and have those critical conversations with her bosses. And so with the job that she has right now working, her company is the only one in the world, or one of the only ones in the world that's of its kind that's doing this type of work. And they're extending themselves to other companies and giving algorithms and I may be using a wrong technical word, she'll correct me.
Sequences, DNA sequence, yeah.
DNA sequences. DNA sequences, I'll get it right. That's why she has the PhD in biochemistry. And that's why I'm an engineer. Their company is giving DNA sequencing. You all need to just hear this. And for those that are believers, lift her up in her company. That's absolutely amazing. So thank you so very much. You have given me a lot of hope because I know I have friends like you that are working hard, and I know people are doing mighty things to ensure that we get what we need to do. Someone wants you to share. We're out of time. Yes. But what we'd like to do, and we'll get the answer. Someone would like to share one of your goals, and I'm going to turn it over. Not today, but what we'll do is we'll send the note back out to everybody. I'm going to turn it over to Odetta. She has 1 minute to close us out and talk about next week. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Riley, for being here. Phenomenal session on goal setting and sharing.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. It was a pleasure meeting you, everyone.
Thank you. So please join us next week, right? So next week is our 4th week, and the topic will be around conflict management, closing the sales, keys to being promoted and recognized. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Stay safe, and a recording and thank you note will be published. Again, if you have additional questions, email either WeTechRocks@gmail.com or drjp_Riley@yahoo.com, and we'll circle back. Thank you so much. Stay safe and healthy, y'all.